What's good, Des Moines? Welcome to another episode of Invitation by Invictus. Today, I have Parker Anderson of, I always mess this up.
Adsposure.
Exactly. Say that 5 times fast.
Right.
So I asked Parker to come in here because Parker does a very unique and different form of essentially advertising.
Yeah. Transit advertising.
Yeah.
Adsposure. We do this in markets all over the country, from Nashville to Kansas City and Chicago, and our home office is in Cincinnati.
Correct.
So I'm a really small market here in Des Moines, but a lot of really fun stuff, inspiring stuff to me. I'm like the most enthusiastic bus ad sales guy in history. Yeah. Because I love what I do. I think
it's so different. It's really different. I think that's what's so interesting about it is that it's just not some pasty white lady up on a bus, right? There's
a lot
unique.
We can do.
Yeah.
And I think we're both really fortunate to love what we do.
Correct. 1,000%.
And so we both kind of resonate with that. And there's just so much we can do with these. I mean, it's a mobile billboard, right?
Yeah.
So the type of content that we can create with this moving billboard, and I kind of feel like I'm at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
I lucked out.
Yeah. Why?
Because we're in this digital world.
Correct.
And Google is king. And I get that. And that's fair. But there's also a need for this like tangible, real thing running through traffic. And when the creative is sort of uniform to what people are seeing on their phones, and then they see it on a large city bus.
Yes.
It's epic. And so a lot of my clients will say like, hey, we've been on with you for a year or two.
Yeah.
And people still send us text messages and Snapchats and all this stuff with our bus and traffic.
Okay.
And I'm like, that's amazing. For whatever reason, this is the time where it's become really exciting.
Yeah. Like people pay attention. I
think that there are a lot of different components as to why we're having a lot of success with that in Des Moines.
Okay. Why is that?
Well, just what I said, just with, living in a digital world and all of a sudden we have this tangible thing, and a lot of marketing directors will approach me and they have this overall picture. They have this overall marketing plan. And there's that component in there that says community involvement or giving back to the city.
Sure.
So what a lot of people don't realize is when you advertise with me, half of that media cost goes back into the transit authority. It defrays that tax burden on homeowners in the greater Des Moines area.
Okay.
And there's a lot of feel-good stuff that comes with that. Okay. So prior to this, I was in digital advertising for like a decade.
Okay.
And
so you've kind of seen essentially both sides to it.
Yeah. And loved doing that.
Okay.
But we're in a place now to where when these are capturing the attention of the audience in the street to the point where someone is sending this to my clients to really drive that home and say like, yeah, we want to, we want to keep partying on the bus for a long time to come. That gives me a little job security.
Yeah. How long have you been doing this?
4.5 years.
Okay.
5 years in August.
Okay. So why did you leave the digital side to go to the bus advertising side of things?
I had a vision for this.
Oh, you did?
So my previous role, regional director of sales for digital solutions for one of the big radio groups, publicly traded company.
Yeah.
And I was only on the hunt for a new job when I moved my family here to Des Moines.
Okay.
5 years ago.
Okay.
For a regional director role or a regional sales manager role or what have you. And I connected with a guy named Jason Clare, who's our VP of sales.
Sure.
And he said, well, we don't have anything like that because you're the only office in Iowa. So, take that as you will.
Okay.
But I had a vision for what we could do with this, and I could see what we were lacking in town.
Okay.
And I started to look around on socials and seeing what people were doing around the country.
Okay.
And it just hadn't been capitalized on in Des Moines.
Okay.
And it took a while. It took a couple of years of blood, sweat, and tears and trying to impart to people like, this is so cool, you have to be here.
What was going on in the other cities that was lacking in Des Moines?
It was lacking in Des Moines that, there were a lot of epic creatives that people were incorporating onto city buses.
Okay.
Or onto bus shelters or whatever the case may be.
Okay.
And I think it just wasn't being utilized as much as it could right here. It was a total learning process. I had never been in transit advertising before or in out-of-home advertising in general.
Yeah. Okay.
And so it took a couple years of just really grinding to get a good amount of content, to launch an Instagram page, Des Moines Bus Gallery.
Yeah.
And to get a good amount of content to show people, that I was interested in having conversations with.
Okay.
What their industry was doing in other cities.
Okay.
And with those images, I was able to garner a lot of interest. And now we're to the point where a lot of folks call into DART and they say, how does it work?
Yeah.
Do I have to be partnered with the city? Do I have to buy a bus? Do I no, we have a guy for that.
Okay.
Here's Parker's number.
Yeah.
He works for Adsposure.
Yeah.
Connect with him. He'll take care of that for you.
So Adsposure works with the transit companies or transit people in other cities.
Yeah.
Right?
Transit authorities.
That's it.
Yes.
So is it bus or train or both?
Well, like in Kansas City, for example, we have the rail car.
Okay.
So we do wrap that with
that's dope.
Some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. So anything in the moving sense, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
we have a sister company who deals just in semis.
Okay.
Advertising vehicles.
Okay.
And then the Adsposure side, we just serve transit authorities.
Okay. So did you go to DART and say, hey, we want to wrap your buses? Is that how the conversation started? Or like you guys had to I don't know, go out and go get customers and then go to DART and say, hey, I've got 10 customers waiting to get their buses wrapped?
I came a couple of years after Adsposure had already executed a contract with DART.
Okay.
So what happens with transit authorities is some allow advertising and some don't.
Sure.
And in this case, with DART, they were, requesting proposals from different out-of-home companies to take this on.
Sure.
Adsposure won. A couple of years later, I had come on board.
Okay.
So the ball had already started rolling. We were set up to do this in Des Moines.
Yeah.
We had the ad types that we wanted to work with. We had identified the different makes and models of buses and all of this finicky stuff that you never really think about.
For sure.
With bus advertising that is present.
So how many buses are in the fleet currently?
There are, I think, 117 as of today.
Okay.
And then we have the paratransit vehicles that we utilize for advertising.
Okay.
And that's more targeted toward, they're a great presence for, it's a mobile billboard that goes in parks in front of the mall or Mercy One or Unity Point or whatever the case may be.
It's constantly moving throughout the city.
It's nice because it'll just go and just sit for, maybe 10 minutes and all of the passerbys get to see this mobile billboard when it's sitting there. It's great for, you would think it's only for a medical client, maybe one of the big hospitals or something.
No, I've seen all kinds of companies on there.
I think a lot of different people just haven't had the right introduction
for sure
to that.
Yeah.
So the groups that contact me for it might be, related to the medical field, but that's not to say in other cities, people are utilizing paratransit vehicles for all sorts of industries.
I've seen Golden Rule Plumbing, DMOS, Iowa State.
DMOS is awesome because they're now in partnership with Iowa Wolves.
Yeah.
They're like the premier orthopedic doctor, physicians, surgeons for the Iowa Wolves. So we've incorporated some of the Iowa Wolves branding, logos and signage. One of the players is on there with the, hairy armpits hanging out. And,
Nice.
and it's so fun. And,
Yeah.
And they're also partnered now with IMT Des Moines Marathons. We're going to be launching some cool stuff like that to look out for. But yeah, from the largest private advertisers to the small guy who just wants to do, some smaller banners on the bus.
Yeah.
We appreciate each and every one of those partnerships.
So how many buses currently have one of your advertisements out of you said 117, right?
Yeah.
So how many are currently in rotation with some sort of advertisement?
We're getting, we're fortunate enough to be getting into a place where I'm at a very limited capacity for the rest of the year for full wraps.
Sure.
So there are 8 fully wrapped buses available to fully wrap for the rest of the year.
Front to back.
Front to back.
Okay.
Now, if somebody claims just the back of the vehicle, for example, now we can't full wrap it.
Sure.
So
but you
we
can still
put ads on each side and move those pieces around in those different components. We never want to have, there's some strategy involved also to where like we don't want to have one hospital on one side and another hospital on the other side.
No, I think there would be trucker banging if that was the case.
I'm not familiar with the term, but yes, it's that.
Yeah, they would probably beef pretty hard. Yeah. They would probably be really upset at you if you did that.
It would be in poor taste of me to not pay attention to things like that. So
yeah, you don't want to create contention.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's not. I mean, these are city vehicles. These are public vehicles. So I have one client who has exclusivity on his group's industry.
Sure.
And then the rest are, if you're a grocer or if you're a medical facility or if you're, whoever you are, there might be several.
Yeah.
We have a couple different plumbing companies now. We have Golden Rule and we have Halt Plumbing.
Yeah, I've seen both of those on there.
Yep.
Yeah. Trucker banging is basically where the truckers would get on their CBs and start talking trash to each other.
Yeah, I figured it was a trucker communication term. So
yeah.
10-4, good buddy.
Yeah. They just talk trash to each other. You definitely don't want the hospitals to do that.
Right.
So, okay. So if somebody is interested in having this conversation with you, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Well, I typically, a lot of folks will reach out to the transit authority and they'll give them my info.
Yeah.
But I'm on LinkedIn. I'm the only Parker Emery Anderson on LinkedIn, to my knowledge. And then there's the Des Moines Bus Gallery Instagram page.
Sure.
I'm getting a lot of connections reaching out to me there. Hey, we love what you're doing.
Yeah.
How do we get on? And then, if it makes sense to both of us, we'll connect, or oftentimes I'll give sort of a presentation, a general rundown to their group, and I'll keep it short and sweet to just, with the understanding that if everybody is on board with this and everybody's excited to move forward, I like to pump the brakes a little bit, make sure we're going to have a long-term partnership and they've thought this through and it's a good idea for them and we're excited and they're excited, and then we can move forward from there and broker a deal for the ad space on the city bus.
Yeah.
So
do you have an email or are you?
Yeah, it's panderson@adsposure.com.
Dope. Okay.
So
people can reach out that way. Instagram.
Yeah,
LinkedIn.
A lot of ways to connect with me.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
All the socials.
All the socials.
Yep.
And then typically, if somebody's really interested in doing this, what's the start to finish time? What can that look like?
Yeah, good question. So we're dealing with printing huge sheets of heat sensitive vinyl. It's this 3M vinyl that we work with.
Yeah.
From our home office in Cincinnati.
Okay. So they print everything and send it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Roll that up, FedEx it to me.
Sure.
And we've got some guys that we contract to do installations here.
Okay.
Those same people will do the uninstallations at the end of the life of the campaign.
Okay.
And usually, anywhere between 12 and 21 days.
Oh,
It's always my prerogative to sort of under promise and over deliver on that front.
For sure.
I don't like anyone to feel like they're being rushed in the 11th hour.
Yeah.
Hey,
For
we
sure.
really have to get this on the printer. So that's another thing I kind of try to pump the brakes on a little bit and make sure we have a good understanding of, we have an in-house team of graphic designers that are very capable and competent, and they do this day in and day out, and I trust them.
Well, and they do it for multiple locations and clients and across the country.
So there's always that. So our design service, there's not an extra charge to utilize us. My clients are free to lean into me as much or as little as they'd like to on that front.
Okay.
I am not a graphic designer by any stretch.
Yeah. Okay.
So a lot of people will ask me, what's the DPI and what's the bleed ratio and all these different things. And I'm like, I don't want to speak out of turn. I'm going to connect you with your graphic designer, your in-house Adsposure graphic designer, and he or she can speak to that stuff. But so that's one way to do it. Or we can provide a template link to the actual make and model of vehicle. There's like 4 or 5 different makes and models of buses here in town.
Oh, really?
And so, so
okay, that's
each
interesting.
with their own obstructions with, they've got different license plate placements and different reflectors.
Yeah. Okay.
And, they say railroad crossing in a little bit different placements and so forth.
Sure. Yeah.
So we can always provide a team that wants to build their own design with a link to upload onto that template.
Yeah, to make sure everything looks good and it's printed correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's several ways to go about that, but we make it as easy as possible.
Yeah, for sure.
It just takes a little time from the time that it's on the printer to arrive here in Des Moines and then to install. So
you're probably looking at like 30 days once you've executed the contract.
The largest program of, 6 or 10 fully wrapped vehicles we can accomplish within 21 days.
Okay, nice. Okay.
If there are any extraordinary circumstances, we go into that, but it's usually, a process that we have a good handle on.
And typically, how long does their advertisement stay on a bus? Like,
it can stay on for a year.
Okay. That's the max period?
That is what 3M rates this vinyl to stay on the bus for.
Like the lifetime of the vinyl?
Prior to it starting to permanently adhere to the paint.
Oh.
And then we have to pay for the bus to be repainted. So we want to evade that situation whenever we can.
Okay.
Most oftentimes 6 months or 12 months are the typical campaigns. And a lot of that is to do with, like I said, we want to pump the brakes a little bit, make sure like, hey, is this something that we're going to have a long-term partnership with? Or do we know there's some excitement here and you want to be on the bus? It's not like we can put this on a digital platform and you can take it down if you didn't like it after a month. Once it's there, it's there.
For sure.
So, and also the production cost is oftentimes higher than the monthly media advertising rental space on the city bus.
Okay.
So it only makes sense to defray that, that larger production cost and spread it out over the life of the campaign.
Yeah, for sure.
Most groups that I work with like to pay monthly. So when we get into that side of the thing, it's going to make more sense to be up there for a little bit longer. But hey, from time to time, like Wellmark, the Grand Blue Mile, they're just like, 1 month is good. Fully wrap us on these buses for 1 month. And, that's okay that it costs a little more. We just have one event to promote, to get the word out there around the community. We need some time for it to circulate and make sure everybody in town has a chance to see it.
Yeah.
But sometimes it doesn't make sense for a group to be on there for a year. Sometimes it's not a branding awareness campaign.
Yeah.
It's something for a recruitment event or a race.
Well, the Iowa Wolves only play 4 months out of the year.
Right. Yep.
So.
Yep. Things like that.
Okay. So it could be seasonal or it could be annually.
Mm-hmm. All over the board.
Yeah.
All over the board. Sometimes people want to leave it up, and we'll take out what we call a snipe, just a portion of that ad and keep updating what they have coming up next.
Okay.
In one of our markets in Dallas, Fort Worth, there is this like honky tonk bar that has really big acts that come through.
Oh, nice.
So they have a marquee on the side of the bus.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
And then every week or every other week, we change out who the artists are going to be.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
I wish Des Moines had something like that.
We should.
We need to.
The Iowa Cubs should do that.
Oh, they could.
Any sports team should do that, or any venue that has concerts, things like that.
Maybe you could talk to Sam Summers once he gets Valor up and running.
Valor, I love Valor.
I think it's going to look dope.
I was coming to shows at Valor way before I moved to Des Moines. I grew up in Sioux Falls.
Okay.
South Dakota.
So you were driving all the way down here to
see shows at Valor. Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you're a diehard Valor fan.
Valor has a special place in my heart.
Nice.
I saw some great shows at Valor Ballroom.
Well, maybe you can have that conversation with Sam. Hit him up.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whenever he gets it, fully finished and done.
Yeah. I'm excited to see the outcome.
Yeah. Me too.
For sure.
Yeah. Now, since we're talking about music, I don't think a lot of people know that you're low key creative music.
Yeah, I have less and less time to monkey around with my music stuff, and there's no one that I play with locally.
Well, that's not true. You play with your kid. I see you guys tinkering around quite a bit.
Yeah. She's the best.
She looks like she's going to rock out one day.
During COVID, I built this gym / studio in my basement and repainted everything and made it look cool and funky so I can get on the elliptical or act like a tough guy and throw weights around and do my thing. And I've got a concert on and I'm singing my heart out, Jennifer.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. That's dope.
So yeah, we do love to do that.
Yeah.
All, guys that I grew up playing music with.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we'll do some remote recording. We'll send a file and then, hey, we should do this. And sending it back and forth those are really, really fun to do from time to time. I haven't had a chance to mess with that recently.
Okay.
But to get kind of engulfed in that is, just in my personal time is awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what instruments do you play?
They're not available. My daughter is always down to jam.
Yeah, she plays everything like you do, right?
We, I don't know if we do it well.
Doesn't matter. You guys look like you're having a blast.
Our house is more about self-expression than it is about
That's all that matters.
Yeah, we like to work out together and we like to have a lot of music going.
Okay.
And all that stuff.
So what instruments do you play?
So I grew up playing drums.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. And so I'm an okay drummer.
Okay.
And then I also play a little bit of bass guitar.
Okay.
And I really like that. And I'd really like to at some point take that more seriously.
Okay.
And then there are songs, along the way that I'll just learn on guitar just for the purpose of, recording some thing, or I'll have a MIDI keyboard set up just so I can find the right melody and then I can play it. So I don't know that I would do well playing live bass like I would drums or something.
Yeah.
But I can certainly record it if I have the luxury of time to do 50 takes and make it sound okay.
Yeah. Are you a piano guy too? Do you do piano?
Not so much. My little sister just got married and I played a song on piano.
Oh, nice.
And it was a funny story. This guy, he's got an HBO series and now I'm going to talk about him and his name's escaping me. And he's this really soft-spoken, Midwestern, kind of nerdy persona. It's not his real persona.
Okay.
In any case, he has a show on HBO, and there was this song that they had sang in the backyard together.
Okay.
And it was just this weird little portion of the show that was kind of unremarkable. And my sister's partner, her now husband, really just thought this was like such a nice, sweet, simple song.
Oh,
so we
nice.
played that for him as kind of a surprise and a welcome to our family.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
Rachel, have you seen this show on HBO? Oh man, we're going to have to figure it out.
I cannot believe that his name is escaping me. He's got like kind of sandy blonde hair. He did Conan a bunch of times with stand up. No, it's not Bo Burnham.
We'll have to Google it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Shame on me for bringing that up and not having
We'll
his
flash
name.
it in here.
Flash it because we love this guy.
Yeah. It's definitely not Bill Maher, right?
It's not Bill Maher. He's a little more abrasive. This guy is like a really calming, and he also has like, he'll do like talks you to sleep. His name talks you to sleep. His name, it's the name of the show is like such and such talks you to sleep.
Okay. We'll have to find it, Rachel. We'll find it. We'll find it and show it for sure. But your kid, she plays, I've seen her play.
She plays violin.
Okay. Yeah.
She loves to play drums.
Yes. I see her rock out all the time on the drums.
Yeah. She's got a little Fender Squier electric guitar.
Okay.
And she digs that.
Okay.
So we're in violin lessons right now.
Okay.
And she's starting to be able to kind of play by ear, which is really funky and inspiring for me to see.
That's super dope.
Yeah. It might not be super dope for you all to watch it and hear her go, and we joke about that, but it's like music to my ears. Yeah. Yeah, it's super fun.
She's basically musically talented.
She is. She's been like that, but we've been, performing concerts in the car.
Yeah.
Just her and I since she was born. So I don't think she stood a chance at not being. Yeah, she's 9.
9? Okay. Yep. Wow.
Yep.
Okay. So what's coming up for you here, in 2023? What's big for you?
Yeah, obviously Adsposure is the biggest thing that I'm focused on. I'm also on the board of advisors. I'm doing public relations for Ripples of Change. Carrie Kenzie, on.
Yep.
So I'm going to be moderating, emceeing a kind of a Q&A event here coming up in April.
Okay.
That's on the horizon and looking forward to, obviously I'm not a healer and I don't have a medical, background or anything like that, but to be associated with this group, I'm very grateful for. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, why are you grateful to be on this? What's like, you could have been on a board for anybody. Why Carrie's board?
The mission is to, Carrie's got, a special story that she might have shared with you.
Yeah, we all know. Well, I think our staff knows about it. Just, what happened at Boston and how the bomb went off and the trauma and how she was able to heal from it.
Yeah. And it wasn't, she was at the event. She was part of that event. And though she wasn't directly hurt by the bombs that went off that day, she was caught in, what she calls the ripple of trauma.
Correct.
And so the foundation that she co-created is called Ripples of Change. And it's just helping people in the community to find services and connect to mental health services who have experienced trauma and maybe can't afford, the traditional, a lot of people, it's not even a thought that comes into their head. Like they've suffered all this trauma and it's not even a second thought because it can't be afforded. So that's what we're working on right now. We're in the initial phases, so more to come on that.
Yeah, for sure. Anytime you start a nonprofit, it's a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
Trial and error and trying things out and just figuring out what works and what doesn't. And how do you make it better and what can you do? And then how many people, the core, value of it is how many people can you help?
Right. And hopefully an endless amount.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Carrie is onto something. She, I do give it to Carrie, even though she wasn't at the finish line when the bomb went off. She was, I believe, in the medical tent. She spent years not realizing what was her setting herself up for like failures and things like that, and how she was able to like work through them. And
like a lot of us in a lot of different scenarios. And I don't think, any issue is too small to consider a trauma in your life.
No.
So
no,
none of us are perfect, and none of us are, safe from whatever we, would describe as something traumatic that's happened to us.
Well, I think now, as we're into 2023, a lot of people are now really talking about their traumas, and I don't know, mental health is, it's okay to talk about it now. Mm-hmm. It wasn't, even 5 years ago, or even pre-COVID, I think COVID, really opened the door for a lot of people to come out and start openly talk about what they're struggling with.
Yeah,
and
having needed conversations, and it's not something that people are, so afraid to broach anymore.
Okay.
And I think that's great.
So you said this event is in April?
It's in April.
Okay. Have they set anything?
And here's the date.
There you go. We'll find it on the website. We'll find it on their website and show it. I hope they have it on there so that we can screen capture it and play it. Well, Parker, Rachel just flashed us, so we gotta she didn't flash us, you guys. She flashed the. I know. She flashed the on-air sign, so we need to wrap things up. But I appreciate you coming by. It's been great. So, guys, if you are interested in a bus, the buses are dope. I like how different they look. Each and every one of them does.
Thank you.
Yeah, I pay attention.
I appreciate you having me onto your platform to talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. 1,000%.
It's good for our community. And I mean, of course, yes, it's a big, epic way to advertise. Mm-hmm. But also, I mean, we are bridging that gap between community involvement and advertising. So
yes,
I feel a lot better about doing this than selling digital advertising just to sell digital advertising, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. Check out Parker. You guys, I mean, you've seen our podcast. We'll flash everything in there. We'll put it all in there. Reach out to Parker. Parker is great. His office is like 3 blocks down the road from ours.
Yeah, we're neighbors.
Literally. Check out Parker. He's a great guy. And if you ever want to jam with him, DM him as well.
I'm in.
Yeah. We out.